Most car owners will spend thousands of dollars on a repair that was completely preventable, not because they didn't care about their car, but because nobody ever told them the truth about how to actually maintain one. Dealerships won't tell you this. Repair shops profit when you don't know this. And the internet is full of noise that makes simple maintenance feel overwhelming. So here it is, straight and simple. 5 things that separate the cars that die at 120,000 miles from the ones still running strong at 300,000. No filler, no fluff. Let's get into it. Number 1, engine oil and the oil filter. If your engine is the heart of your vehicle, oil is the blood. And just like blood, when it gets old and contaminated, everything starts to break down. Here's what most people misunderstand about oil. It doesn't just lubricate. It pulls heat away from moving metal surfaces. It suspends microscopic debris and carries it to the filter. It prevents a dangerous buildup called sludge, a thick, tar-like substance that clogs oil passages and suffocates your engine from the inside. Now, dealerships will often tell you that 10,000 miles between oil changes is perfectly fine. And for warranty purposes, technically it is. But warranty purposes and long-term engine health are 2 completely different conversations. If your car calls for full synthetic oil, use full synthetic and change it every 5,000 miles. If your vehicle runs conventional oil, change it every 3,000 miles. Always use the correct viscosity. That's a number on the bottle like 5W30 or 0W20. And make sure it meets your manufacturer's specifications. This information is in your owner's manual, and it matters far more than most people realize. The oil filter is just as important. A cheap, low-quality filter can bypass contaminated oil back into the engine once it gets clogged. Always pair a fresh oil change with a high-quality filter, ideally OEM or a reputable aftermarket brand. Stretch your oil changes too far, and you're essentially running liquid sandpaper through your engine. Bearings wear faster. Cam lobes deteriorate. Piston rings lose their seal. The damage is slow, invisible, and cumulative. And by the time you notice it, it's already too late to undo. Get this one right every single time. It is the foundation of everything else on this list. Number 2, engine coolant. And this one is dramatically underestimated by the average driver. Most people think coolant is just there to stop the engine from overheating. And yes, it does that. But what it actually does is far more complex and far more critical to the long-term survival of your engine. Coolant circulates through the engine block, the cylinder head, the radiator, and the heater core. It carries heat out of the engine and disperses it. But beyond temperature regulation, coolant contains a chemical package of additives that actively prevent corrosion on metal surfaces inside the cooling system. It also lubricates the water pump, a component that, if it fails, will overheat your engine in minutes. Here's the problem. Those protective additives break down over time. The pH of the coolant changes. And once that happens, your coolant isn't just less effective, it becomes actively corrosive. You'll start seeing rust particles forming inside the system. Passages get restricted. The water pump seal fails. And eventually, you're looking at overheating events that can warp a cylinder head or crack an engine block. There's no such thing as lifetime coolant. That's marketing language. Every manufacturer has a recommended coolant service interval, typically every 30,000 to 50,000 miles, depending on the vehicle, and there's a specific coolant type required for your car. Using the wrong type or mixing types can cause a chemical reaction that accelerates corrosion rather than preventing it. Check your coolant's color and condition regularly. Fresh coolant is typically bright green, orange, pink, or blue depending on the type. Dark brown or murky coolant is a warning sign that the system needs to be flushed and refilled. Don't wait for an overheating event to take action. By then, the damage is already done. Number 3, transmission fluid. And this is arguably the most neglected item on this entire list. Manufacturers love to label automatic transmissions as sealed with lifetime fluid. It sounds reassuring. It's meant to. But what it really means is they don't want to pay for transmission services under warranty, so they've set intervals that are convenient for them. Not ideal for your transmission. Here's the reality. Transmission fluid does 3 critical jobs every single time you drive. It acts as a hydraulic fluid, controlling the pressure that shifts your gears. It acts as a lubricant, protecting gears, clutch packs, and bearings. And it acts as a coolant for the transmission itself, managing the extreme heat generated by all that friction and pressure. Over time, the fluid breaks down thermally. The friction modifiers, the additives that allow clutch surfaces to engage smoothly, get depleted. Metal particles from normal, where begin accumulating in the fluid. And heat, which is the number one killer of any automatic transmission, begins doing permanent damage to clutch material, valve bodies, and seals. A proper transmission service every 50,000 to 75,000 miles, sometimes more frequently in vehicles that tow or operate in harsh conditions, keeps the fluid clean, the friction surfaces protected, and internal temperatures manageable. It keeps shifts feeling smooth and precise. Skip that service long enough, and what would have been a $150 fluid exchange becomes a $4,000 transmission rebuild. There is no gray area here. The math is not complicated. One important note: if you have a high mileage vehicle that has never had its transmission fluid changed, consult a professional before doing a full fluid flush. In some cases, a severely degraded transmission is actually being held together by the residue in the old fluid, and a sudden flush can accelerate failure. An incremental fluid exchange may be the safer approach. Number 4, protecting the undercarriage in the body of the car. This point is easy to overlook because it has nothing to do with what's under the hood, but it has everything to do with whether your car survives to see 300,000 miles. Think about it this way. You could have a perfectly running engine, a smooth, healthy transmission, every fluid in perfect condition. But if the frame is rotting, the subframe is compromised, or the floor is structurally unsound, the vehicle is finished. It doesn't matter how well the engine runs if the car isn't safe to drive. Road salt is one of the most destructive forces a vehicle faces in colder climates. It gets packed into every crevice of the undercarriage, holds moisture against metal, and accelerates corrosion dramatically. Dirt and debris compound the problem, trapping that salt and moisture in place for weeks at a time. The solution is simple but requires consistency. Wash your car regularly, and that means washing the undercarriage, not just the body. Many car washes have undercarriage spray options. Use them, especially in winter months and after driving on salted roads. Inspect the undercarriage periodically, or have a trusted mechanic do it during routine services. Catching rust early, surface rust on a bracket or a frame rail, is a minor repair. Catching it late, when structural metal has been compromised, is a death sentence for the vehicle. Rust-proofing treatments and undercoating can add a meaningful layer of protection, especially if you live in a region with harsh winters. It's a relatively small investment that can significantly extend the structural life of the vehicle. A car that runs great but falls apart underneath is no different from one that never ran at all. Number 5, fuel quality. And this one surprises a lot of people. This is not about whether you should use premium versus regular fuel. That is a separate conversation entirely, and the simple answer is use whatever octane rating your manufacturer specifies. No more, no less. This is about the quality of the gasoline itself, specifically the detergent additive package that's blended into the fuel before it reaches the pump. In the United States, the EPA mandates a minimum detergent level in all gasoline, but not all fuel meets the same standard. A coalition of automakers established what's called top-tier fuel certification, a higher detergent standard that major brands like Shell, Chevron, Mobil, and Costco consistently meet. Why does this matter? Gasoline, especially in modern direct injection engines, leaves behind carbon deposits over time. These deposits build up on fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chamber surfaces. Even a small amount of buildup affects how efficiently fuel atomizes and burns, leading to misfires, reduced power, worse fuel economy, and in severe cases, pre-ignition events that can physically damage pistons. Top-tier fuel contains additives that actively clean these surfaces as you drive. Lower quality fuel, over thousands and thousands of miles, gradually accelerates that carbon buildup. The difference in cost is typically a few cents per gallon. Over the lifetime of a vehicle, the cost difference is almost nothing, but the cumulative effect on your engine's cleanliness and efficiency is real and measurable. It's one of the smallest habits on this list, and one of the easiest to start doing today. So let's bring this all together. 5 habits. None of them are complicated. None of them require any special tools or mechanical knowledge. They just require consistency. Fresh oil and a quality filter on schedule. Clean cooler the right type. Change at the right interval. Transmission fluid that's actually serviced. Not ignored because a sticker says lifetime. A clean undercarriage that isn't being eaten alive by rust and salt. And quality fuel in the tank every single time you fill up. Cars don't die of old age. They die of neglect. The 300,000-mile car isn't some rare miracle. It's simply a well-maintained one. Every car on the road today is capable of lasting far longer than most of them actually do. The difference between a car that dies at 120,000 miles and one that's still running strong at 280,000 miles almost always comes down to these 5 things. You now know exactly what they are. The next step is yours.